मैं देह नहीं नश्वर नासी, मैं अलख निरंजन अविनाशी, मैं अलख निरंजन अविनाशी.
I find it difficult when I get inspired by certain great figures or great scientists, because like when you talk about Einstein, I find it very inspiring, and I think, well, if I could just marshal my energies and be focused on one thing, maybe I could become really good at it. But I find that with all the distractions and all my vasanas and everything, it seems very difficult to achieve much. So I've kind of settled for just meditating.
It's natural to be exhausted. The mind exhausts you because it's unbelievable the trash the mind has and the way it comes out, the trash. It's very unbelievable, and it appears sometimes the mind is inexhaustible. It never gets exhausted. And the deepest vein is the lust for life and the desire for sex. That takes the longest time to exhaust because of sex we are here today. We procreate, and it came, this trait of the animal drive is carried within our psyche for millions of years. Since the time we were amoebas to caterpillars to rodents to seals to whales to tigers to lions, we had this desire for sex. So that is the most natural desire which a human being has in it, and he still tries to repel it and think of it as a sin or something to be shunned. The Puritan hypocritical mind still tries to shun it. And for this you must read Lahiri Mahasaya's book, who is an avatar. Lahiri Mahasaya is an avatar. And he says, sex came to me, I had sex, I felt good, and I went into samadhi. Today sex came. I had sex. It was good. I'm now in my samadhi. Finished. It came, I did away with it in this thing. The householder yogi, way beyond any of these things. But some past life sanskar lingered through, came up from the memory banks, It activated the hormones and the peptides in the human sexual system. He said, okay, big deal, it's come into my astral, from the causal it's come into my astral body, and now it's come into my sensual body. I will fulfill the desire, I will do away with it, and I will carry on with my meditation. It's so simple. You don't feel guilty when you smile, do you? Every time you smile and laugh, do you feel you've committed a sexual act? It is a sexual act. So also, why should you feel that when you commit a sexual act? Because it's so thrilling that every individual feels, shh, the other doesn't know about it. If you tell it too much, you'll lose the fun. If you tell about your sexual activities, Dan, you lose the thrill of it. So therefore people don't tell anyone, and they say shh, and yet in the night everybody is engaged in the same prayer. That is the sacred of all sacred prayers. And one of the occult doctrines and books, it said that sex is the most natural and sacred prayer. So they said, how could sex be a sacred prayer when it stoops to such vulgarity and animal magnetism? A man behaves like an animal, and the more animal you behave like, the more you enjoy sex. Because that's how deeply rooted it is in your sum and substance. And yet we try to alienate our children. We teach them something different. We teach them that a stork came and dropped this thing, and the mother caught it in her handbag or something. So all the children say, oh, we are handbag children. Our mom just collected us. We dropped from the heavens, our mom came with a handbag, she opened the bag, put it in, and that's how we were born. It's pretty exciting. The stork. We were given birth from the mother, yes?
So Gurunath, how could we best spiritually make use of sex? It's the least spiritually straining or the most spiritually beneficial.
You have to, you cannot directly pull sex into spirituality, Because sex is sex and it's far removed from the high techniques you're doing. Just practice your Shiva Shakti and do your Mahamudra regularly, and it will pull the sexual energy and transform it into spiritual energy. Let your practice do it. You don't mess it up with your mind. You can't mess it up with your mind because the sense of purity which you have during meditation is totally different from the sex, the carnal desire which you have. And you always remember one saying which I tell you, the lily grows in the dung heap. The most beautiful of spiritual people have been born through the sexual act. So please do not discard it or treat it as anything disgraceful. No doubt it retards you to the extent you want to enjoy sex. But the problem is it's so damn enjoyable that you cannot disengage yourself from it, Dad. That is the problem. You cannot disengage. Because I remember one yogi told me, he said, Gurunath, I'm a yogi, but please bear in mind, I'm a hormonal yogi. So I like that. I said, that's fair enough. You're a hormonal yogi. Huh? Asman bhai. Ha, boliye bhaijan.
You said about sex is that when the chakra is opened up through Kriya, then the sexual energy isn't blocked and it can flow upwards.
Not while having sex. Not while having sex. When you have sex, the normal sex, the energy flows downwards. Who told you the energy flows upwards?
Well,
I've never seen a man like you.
I don't mean during sex. I mean
This is just the opposite.
No, I mean that the sexual energy can be transmuted upwards.
It can be by Mahamudra, later by Joli, by your regular practices. Purity in thought. Actually, there's no purity or impurity in thought. The thought, they call it purity for namesakes, but that doesn't mean you have to, the pot cannot call the kettle black. The pot is black, the kettle is black, both have to improve. So, the men or the psychology in man tries to degrade sex at the cost of the Hail Mary or meditation. You cannot, because it is from the desire or the passion of sex that the desire for God is created. If you don't have the fuel, which is the passion, how will how will you get the energy to think of God? If you haven't the energy to have sex, how will you have the energy to think of God? Just strip them of their colors, the emotion of sex and the emotion of any false notion, and use pure energy. That is called the alchemy of totale transformazione. To use the energy of sex, bereft of its emotion, bereft of lust, take the pure energy and use it for the transformation. Use it for boosting your soul to consciousness. This is an alchemy which must be done. And how may we strip this energy of the feeling of sex? Actually, in subtler plants, they both intermingle. The atoms, the protons and the peptides are very amalgamated with the desire for procreation, the desire for sex. We don't actually, behind it is not a desire for sex or to enjoy the man or the woman. The desire is to save your species, lest we die down. So therefore the breeding of children as much as possible. Otherwise you disappear like the lemmings.
Does any individual have a responsibility to become a parent, to reproduce? Does any one individual have that responsibility to reproduce?
You mean one fellow reproducing for the whole race?
No, I mean could I say, okay, I don't want to become a parent, I don't want that responsibility, let other people preserve the race?
No, this is a much vaster thought than you and I. It is a collective consciousness which has to look at the human race. And if the human race is dwindling and dying down, and the American bison is increasing, we have to populate the earth so that there's an equal, this thing is just a natural thing. Like it would be for a savanna lion or something to reproduce its own offspring. It's a very, very important bounden duty on humanity that it should keep its race alive. That it's a fun thing is a very minor portion of it.
So how is it decided who is going to be the parents and who
You can't say I don't want the fun thing and I still want to have sex. No one will have it.
Gurunath, what is the spiritual significance
spiritual significance of marriage is an economic significance. That if you produce a child on this earth, you should take the responsibility to give it food, clothing and a proper education so that he becomes a fine man in this world and makes the mother and father proud. Okay? I mean, everyone would like to have a child like Vivekananda, like Ramakrishna, like Abraham Lincoln, even like President Kennedy. Right? He did a great thing. He was the president and he made everybody proud. The ultimate playboy. So, but you don't want a vagabond or something, or a demon or a terrorist to be born into your house. It's not in your hand. You can only pray for the best and leave to God the rest.